these performances from all across the state that show children placing dollar bills into men's undergarments.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brandon Lewis, founder of the Tennessee Conservative, the volunteer state's largest conservative news alternative. And today we are joined by Clay Doggett, state representative for District 70, which covers Giles and part of Lawrence County. And Clay is vice chair of the Commerce Committee and is a member of the Business and Criminal Justice Subcommittees and a member of the Judiciary Committee. He is the prestigious recipient of the Tennessee Conservatives Freedom Caucus Award in 2022, which he puts under his pillow every night. And it says it provides encouragement and imbues all kinds of powers for resisting the nefarious forces up in Nashville to abandon his conservative principles. Those are my words, not his. Clay is married with 3 children and an owner of Blue Line Pressure Washing. And he is a member of the Church of Christ and received his bachelor degree in history and political science at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. Clay, welcome to the program and thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. And we actually have 4 children, and I need to update my profile if I haven't done that already. But yes, we have 4 children, 11, 9, 6, and 2.
Wow. Well, you are a busy man. And Clay joins us from his car because sometimes running a business and making a living gets in the way of being a good conservative, which I had to scurry down from my duties as a small business owner to do this today. And so Clay and I are similar in that regard, and we share a similar background and participation in the industry of painting and pressure washing. So, Clay, I'd like to take this time to walk through a few of the bills, number one, that you are sponsoring, and I have one at the end I'd like to just get your opinion on because you have weighed in on similar bills in the past. House Bill 30. Mm-hmm. And I know we've gotten lots of positive coverage from this from Tennessee's corporate liberal media. They really like this bill, tongue-in-cheek. It defines adult cabaret entertainment, and it creates a licensure component for performers who are compensated, and it restricts the age to 18 and over. What has been the press reception to that in Tennessee and versus the constituent reception, and what does it do, and why is it important?
Well, surprisingly, all the pushback that I have received on this bill, and then it's kind of become a companion bill to House Bill 9, which is carried by Chris Todd. We're both looking at very similar issues with the adult cabaret statutes that are existing right now. But he's in one section of code. I'm in this other section of code. And so we're and there goes my setup.
We'll just leave it in there. It's fine. We're very informal here. It's fine. Maybe that helps people stay engaged. Just a little bit of camera angle change. Go ahead.
But sorry about that. But yes, our bills they go together, and so like I said, he's in one section of code. I'm over in another. But the biggest pushback that I have received and he has received is not about men dressing as women and performing doing sexually explicit performances in front of children. That's not the issue. It's not the issue that that right now that anyone can bring a child under the age of 18 to these sexually explicit performances. The issue has been that they're afraid it's going to catch wrestling as one of the activities that might become illegal with this, that the wrestlers will end up being charged. They're worried that country music singers may end up being charged, or rap artists may end up being charged, or if you go to the Shakespeare play at your local high school, that these students are going to be charged. This is all they have to come at these bills with, is these objections, and it's simply not the case. We already have obscenity statutes that exist, and so what we did is we took the obscenity statute, some of the definitions from there harmful to minors, and added them into a new definition, what we call adult cabaret entertainment, so that, we're preventing these sexually explicit shows from being performed in front of minors. My bill, like you mentioned, does a licensure component. So if someone is performing and they're getting compensated, they've got to have a license, and that license is the same type of license that would be required for someone that was working at a strip club as a stripper. They've got to go through their local sheriff's department to get a license, and in doing so, you have to give
so they've got to get a license to thrill, is what you're saying.
Exactly, if you're going to participate. But a lot of times these performers get on stage and they have names, like Destiny or whatever the name is that they've made up. That's what they come in there with, but you don't know who they are. And a lot of these performers come out of state to do these shows, that they'll do at their festivals and events, and where children are there. I guarantee you, I'd bet you $1 to a donut that there's sex offenders, registered sex offenders, maybe from our state or other states, that are coming here and performing in front of children. And so if you're going to receive compensation, that includes tips. We've got photos and videos from these performances from all across the state that show children placing dollar bills into men's undergarments there. And so this is going to, even if you take $1, you've got to have a license. And then if you don't, it's a B misdemeanor, or it's an A misdemeanor under Chris Todd's bill. He sets the new criminal section. So everything that falls under this is an A misdemeanor for the first offense. Second offense is an E felony. And so what his bill, kind of where ours work together, is we both share the definition. I've got the licensure component in there. We both share the age restrictions. He goes in and says where you can't do those, and one of those is on public property. And so that none of that I've discussed has the media or the left fired up at all. They're worried about wrestlers and musical entertainers. That's the only objection that they have.
Well, my midget wrestling stage name is Destiny the Hammer. And so I was worried about this initially. But you have allayed my concerns. I mean, this is just something this is the camel's nose underneath the tent. I mean, since you and I were children and we're of similar age, I've just watched like common decency, things that are good for kids, just get thrown out the window, from everywhere to public property to the education system. And after a while, folks need to understand this stuff is not good for society, and it certainly isn't good for children. Next story. There's a bill that is being carried by Representative Powers and Frank Nicely right now to prevent the mass transportation of illegal aliens into the state. It was killed by Republicans last time around. Hopefully it'll make it through this time, as we've seen the problem get bigger and bigger. And I think it kind of ties into this HB 702 that you're carrying, and it is to make possession of 0.5 grams or more of fentanyl a B felony. And why is this important?
Well, I mean, under the current presidential administration, the border has been opened back up, and it's just free range. Speaking with law enforcement and just even right here in my community, which you're over there as a county that borders another state, fentanyl has just been a huge issue that we're seeing, not only when it comes to dealing with law enforcement, but the health and welfare of the citizens of our state. But also there's been a lot of deaths that have occurred around fentanyl, people that are using drugs that have fentanyl in it, and just the smallest amount can kill you. I've read stories of where law enforcement officers, not knowing that they were in contact with fentanyl, ended up having some severe cardiac issues just by touching it. I mean, it's such a small amount that can kill you. Fentanyl is quickly becoming one of the largest causes for drug overdoses and deaths. And so, with the help of the district attorneys conference, all the DAs from across the state, they said, "Hey, we need to fight it. They're not helping us out of Washington with it, so we've got to do something on this end, maybe as a deterrent to help stop that." And so we're increasing it from, I think it's a C to a B felony now, just for that 0.5 grams, which is a very, very, very small amount of fentanyl at 0.5 grams.
Well, this stuff is not like the stuff Hank Jr. grows out behind his house and the country boy can't survive. This stuff is like, it's basically human pesticide that gets you high. And by the time you figured out that you've had too much of it, you are no more.
That's
and
right.
So I don't think this is not a recreational thing. This is a life and death thing, and I'm all for it. Guys, we need your help. Help! We need your help. Support. Go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support. Help us in our work. Mail us your love letters to the Tennessee Conservative, 1523 East 27th Street, Chattanooga, Tennessee 37404. I did not receive a single Valentine. Not a single one from any of you, to my knowledge. You know, I did not check the mail today. So there may be one in there. There may be one in there with some sweet tarts, maybe some chocolates, maybe some. And now you can get them cheap. You can go to CVS; they're on sale. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you that I did not get to say Happy Valentine's Day to. But we do need your support. We never have hardly any money in the bank. I mean, we make enough to pay our people, and that's it. And I don't take a paycheck from this. So if I can do this for free, you can find 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, and some of you are freaking rich out there, and you're conservative, and you've done well in your businesses. Send us $1,000. I will put it in the bank. I don't take anything out of it. Can we just use it to keep the lights on, to pay our people, who I wish we had more money to pay them better because they deserve it, every last bit of it. So do go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support, and if you give any amount whatsoever, we will send you this directory of all the folks up there in Nashville. Some great, some okay, not so good. Some just rhinos through and through. Should be running as Democrats, but that's not how their district is drawn. And we will send you this Proud Tennessee Conservative bumper sticker, this Don't California My Tennessee bumper sticker. And if you give $50 or more, or a recurring donation of $10 or more, we will send you both of these puppies. Man, you want these. You want these. Everybody wants these. Proud Tennessee Conservative tumbler and this Proud Tennessee Conservative koozie. We got you covered in the drink department, both literally and figuratively. Tell us about this pro-life and tax reduction measure, if you want to look at it that way. Conservatives should love House Bill 1019. And of course, the liberal press has given both Lee and you and others a huge black eye for this. And it is basically the pregnancy resource tax credit. And it's a dollar for dollar tax credit toward franchise and excise tax for businesses who contribute to pregnancy resource centers. So talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I had some help. A lady that this is near and dear to over in the Memphis area had reached out to me back before Christmas. And, you know, with the recent Dobbs decision, the Supreme Court putting it back in the state's hands, we had the trigger bill and the heartbeat bill that had passed a couple years ago. And so a lot of efforts now have been going, which we've always had the pregnancy resource centers or the crisis pregnancy centers across the state where people volunteer their time in a lot of cases to help educate mothers that find themselves pregnant. They also help work with mothers and families to go through and provide resources and things that they may need after the child is born to help them take care of that child. And so a lot of communities and churches support these groups to help them in their efforts. And they're always raising money to be able to continue. And so a lot of times these groups are not eligible for a lot of grants that other nonprofits are eligible for. You know, if you open up a Planned Parenthood clinic or a clinic similar to that, they would generally make sure that you are well funded to carry out your mission. But when it comes to pro-life efforts, the funding relies not as much on taxpayer funds, but more as individual and private donors and churches and different groups like that. So what this idea is that it's a dollar for dollar tax credit. There's a similar bill. It's modeled after legislation that passed in Mississippi. Florida has passed similar legislation to do this. We're going to do this through businesses and corporations can get a dollar for dollar tax credit on the franchise and excise tax. They can contribute to, and hopefully they will contribute to, these pregnancy resource centers to help them get the things that they need. And it also is a great benefit to the business. Thankfully, we do not have a state income tax. Other states that have done this do have state income taxes. So in conjunction with their state business taxes, that franchise and excise tax that they pay, they also have opportunities for individuals to get a tax write-off whenever they, or use it as a deduction when they do their state income tax. But I'm very thankful we don't have that here. But we're asking for $5 million in this legislation for the tax credit. I know Governor Lee in the budget just proposed $100 million to pregnancy resource centers, or crisis pregnancy centers, as he called them. So I'm going to be meeting with him soon. The Senate sponsor is Brent Taylor from over in the Shelby County area. And so he and I are going to go sit down with the governor and ask about looking at expanding this opportunity further if it's possible, but hopefully we'll get some good traction with it.
Very good. Don't tell him you talked to me. Ask him if he could start working on some of those 10 for 10 campaign promises from back when he first ran. Primarily the reason I voted is just say, hey, you got some unfinished homework over here, Bill. Take a look at these. School choice would be a good one to start with. Last question. Can I get your opinion on a law that's proposed by Representative Ron Travis? It's got some folks kind of worried, and Senator Paul Bailey, where parents could be charged with a felony for failure to turn their child over to DCS, which, as we know from reports recently, is woefully inept. I mean, it's not maybe taking your kid out of the frying pan and putting them into the fire. Even on anonymous and unsubstantiated allegations of child abuse or neglect, when DCS obtains a secret court order. I mean, like you and I were talking before we got on here, you can't accuse somebody of theft, of burglary, of anything without filing a police report, pressing charges publicly. And those are very petty things. But to take away somebody's child or to call in some anonymous tip, it seems kind of troublesome. It's House Bill 1109. Companion Senate Bill 1319 would eliminate the due process, which requires a person to know who makes the accusations and have their day in court and tell their side of the story to a judge. You've seen similar issues in a committee that you used to be in. So I just wonder, what do you think is going to happen to this bill? And it seems a little troublesome from a parent's standpoint.
It is, and I can totally understand as a parent. This is my 5th year in the legislature. The last 4 years I have fought for or fought against legislation like this, especially when it comes to anonymous reportings. It's so dangerous. You hit the nail on the head. If I call and report a crime of burglary or a theft, or just even if I see a vehicle that I suspect is being a drunk driver that's on the highway in front of me, I give my name and my information. They take that information. Can you be anonymous when you call to 911 to report a crime? They'll tell you, yes, you can be anonymous, but they still need to get your information as part of the process. What we found with DCS, anytime that you report child abuse or neglect, you can be anonymous in that, and they don't collect any of that information from you. And so I've had constituents tell me that DCS showed up at their house on an anonymous report. They have come in, they've searched their home, not the basis of what they were looking for. Maybe one guy told me it was Christmas and he had his son for his weekend visitation. A DCS caseworker came in to his home on an anonymous report and told him that he had 2 days to clean. He had pushed all the Christmas boxes and wrappers that they had used into one pile in the corner of the room. And they said, that's a fire hazard. You have 2 days to get that out, or we're taking your child out of the home. And so he was very distraught, called me on it was actually the day after Christmas is when this happened. And so he calls, but come to find out, anonymous report, they don't know who it was. They just said that the home was, not kept, that there was issues with all kinds of things, all types of allegations that were made that caused them to go. And they didn't find any of that other than there was a box and some wrapping paper pushed over in the corner. You can call DCS and make all kinds of claims. They're going to send someone out on that anonymous report. And so sometimes they will take children out of the home, even though they may not have the substantial findings that they need. They can go to a judge. And we fought that with a bill. It was either passed it last year or the year before that said that they could not take the children from the home without a judge, going before a judge. And so the parents had to be there as well to do that. What this bill does is goes a little bit further and says that if I leave the state, or even if I take the child and harbor them in my home, I can be charged with a felony, which is just, I don't understand it. I don't understand where this is, what makes this think that this is a good idea. There may be something underlying there that makes it work to, protect the safety and welfare of children, but there's so many people that get caught up in these anonymous reports that it's harassment, because it's a lot of times not just one, it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 times that this occurs. We tried to get it to where if you had more than 2 anonymous reports and there was and it was all unfounded, that you could find out who it was that was reporting you and charge them with harassment, which of course that creates a chilling effect, that we're told that people won't report crimes anymore. But any other instance, I have a right to face my accuser, except when it deals with DCS.
Well, I would like to see, due process is what our nation is founded on, and to have one little section of our dealings with the government where that is abandoned is always a bad idea. And especially considering the track record of DCS. I mean, these folks cannot take care of kids once in their custody. And I don't think that's the best idea in the world. So, Clay, you've been very kind with your time, and you got to get back to work. So what else is there, if anything, that folks need to keep their eye on? I'll let you have the last word.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me with you, and to all your viewers and those that support you. You do a great thing and a great job. And, just continue to watch us. I mean, there's a lot of things a lot of bills, there's 1,500 bills that are filed each and every year in the legislature. There's a lot of bills that, we've been in session now 6 weeks, or been back in Nashville about 6 weeks. I don't even know what all has been filed yet. We're working through the committees that I sit on. Now I'm the chair of the criminal justice subcommittee. So we see a lot of the criminal bills that come through the committee, and I still don't even know how many bills have been assigned to our committee for consideration yet. So we're working through. We have anywhere between 12 and 30 bills a week right now that'll come before us. And so just be watching. Go to the Tennessee General Assembly website. Look through legislation. If you see things on there of concern, or maybe that you want to support, reach out. I always encourage folks, reach out to their legislators, your local legislators, your state representatives, your state senators, and then call members of the committee that these bills are coming through, and let them know whether or not that you support this bill or you have opposition to it. There's some very good bills that I know that are going to be floating around. So, if you can get behind those, do. And there's probably going to be a lot of bad bills too. And we all need to know your thoughts on those as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Well, thank you, Clay. You've been kind with your time. You have very limited time to make a living when the session is in, and I've already taken too much of it. So we're going to let you, clean up your area. Maybe at some day in the future, you could take the pressure washers up to Cordell Hall, maybe do a little cleaning up there.
That's right.
Sometime. All right, guys. Clay Doggett here. Thank you very much, guys. If you've enjoyed this interview and you'd like to see others like it, please do go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com. and you can find other videos there. Hit that subscribe button or search for Tennessee Conservative on Twitter or wherever you get your podcast. Until next time, I'm Brandon Lewis, signing off.